This is a demonstration of Exercise 16.7b, Issuance of Bonds with Warrants. MagTech Inc. requires funding to build a new factory and has decided to raise the additional capital by issuing $850,000 face value of bonds with a coupon rate of 10%. In discussions with investment bankers, it was determined that to help the sale of the bonds, detachable stock warrants should be issued at the rate of 5 warrants for each $1,000 bond sold. The value of the bonds without the warrants is considered to be $775,000, and the value of the warrants in the market is $75,000. The bonds sold in the market at issuance for $825,000. So the instructions state in Part A what entries should be made at the time of the issuance of the bonds and warrants. So then when we issue bonds with warrants, we will either have to use the proportional method or the incremental method to determine the amount of the bundle price that is allocated to each of the individual securities. Since we have a market price for both the bonds by themselves, which is $775,000, and the warrants, which is $75,000, we would use the proportional method. So to use the proportional method, we take the individual standalone price for each one of the securities and we divide it by the sum of the market value of both of them. So the sum of the two is $850,000. So to determine the amount that will be allocated to the bonds, we take the bonds standalone, $775,000, divide it by the total standalone, $850,000, and we multiply that by the proceeds, or what the bonds sold for, which is $825,000. So we get the amount to allocate to the bonds of $752,206. So we know that the bonds were issued at a discount because the face amount of the bonds, or what we will pay at maturity, is $850,000. So by subtracting the amount that we allocated to the bonds from the face amount, we get the discount to record on the bonds, which is $97,794. The value that would be assigned to the warrants is their standalone, which was $75,000, divided by the total standalone of $850,000 times the bundle price of $825,000, or $72,794. So now we can record the entry. We received cash of $825,000. We determined that the discount on the bonds was $97,794. The bonds payable would be credited for the face amount of the bonds, which is $850,000. And then the amount that we allocated to the warrants would be credited to paid in capital stock warrants, $72,794. The Part B states, if the warrants were non-detachable, would the entries be different? And they would be different because we do not make an allocation to the warrants if they're non-detachable. So the bonds payable would be $850,000, the face amount. And cash would be debited for the amount of the proceeds, $825,000, and the difference of $25,000 would be the discount on bonds payable. So when stock warrants are non-detachable, there is no allocation of the bundle price to the warrants. So there is no entry to paid in capital stock warrants for non-detachable warrants. And that is the conclusion of the demonstration for Exercise 16.7b.